Despite a series of pandemic-induced flight restrictions placed on Turkey, thousands of Russian tourists are still waiting to vacation along the Mediterranean coast. Russian travel agencies have lost millions of dollars to canceled bookings, but 60% of Russian tourists say they will still visit Turkey. To help get things moving, Turkish officials have been trying to reverse the travel bans, giving assurances that holidayers will be protected. For years, Russia has been the largest source of tourists for Turkey, with about 7 million having visited in 2019 before the pandemic. After undergoing a surge in cases this spring, Turkey reimposed strict lockdowns and curfews to stem new infections. Those measures seem to have worked, with daily cases dropping from a record 60,000 in mid-April to about 8,000 today. Turkey is also stepping up its vaccination drive, extending it to more age groups. So, how will Turkey's lucrative summer tourism season shape out? Will it rebound and edge closer to pre-pandemic levels? And to discuss that, joining me from Ankara is Ibrahim Demir. He is the Associate Professor of Economics at Ankara Yildirim Beyazit University. And from London, Virginia Messina. She is the Acting CEO and Senior Vice President of the World Travel and Tourism Council. A warm welcome to you both. So, Virginia, walk us through the last 14 or 15 months. How has the world tourism sector suffered since the outbreak of the pandemic, and where does it stand now?
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, our sector has been one of the most hardly hit by this crisis. And just to put things into context, if we go back to 2019, we were living the golden era of travel. Our sector had been growing for 9 consecutive years. It had contributed 10.4 of the global economy, and 1 in every 10 jobs in the planet were in our sector. But as we know, mobility went completely into standstill. And what this produced is a lot of this contribution to the economy being lost. So more than 49% of our contribution to GDP was lost, and also more than 62 million jobs were lost, and many more remain at risk and supported by some of the government schemes like furloughs and others. So where we are right now is really at a pivotal time in terms of the reopening. I think we believe that if things begin to reopen by this summer, many of these jobs will come back and, of course, save millions of businesses around the world.
Has this sector faced a similar crisis as grave as this one before, Virginia?
So that's a very good point. There's 2 previous shocks that obviously really affected our sector in the past. One was obviously the 2001 attack in the Twin Towers in the US, and the second one was the global financial crisis. And when we look at how that compares to this, COVID has hit our sector 18 times more than the global financial crisis, which was the previous one that had more of a significant economic impact in our sector. So just to put things into context about how bad this has been, and of course being a global crisis and one where, as I said, our sector has been devastated by.
So, Ibrahim, now that the latest coronavirus measures to reduce the number of cases seem to have worked, is Turkey's tourism sector ready to get back on track and get closer to the pre-pandemic levels?
Absolutely. Turkey has taken enormous measures in order to cope with the loss due to the pandemic in the tourism sector. If I would like to give some examples, for instance, not only this year, but also last year, Turkey started to create a safe corridor or safe chain of transportation for travelers, for them to safely travel and stay in Turkey. And those measures have been increased this year from the learnings in the last year's experience in Turkey. Turkey has vaccinated almost all of the tourism sector workers. I think it's about to get completed these days. And from the pilot to the waiter in a hotel or resort, everybody is getting vaccinated. And business partners in Turkey, business leaders like hoteliers association and stuff like that, they are also taking additional non-health or non-medical measures, such as like they are assuring the travelers that if someone gets infected with COVID-19 in Turkey, that person is going to stay for free for the duration of stay, and rebooking of flights will be free. And Turkey is going to take like additional measures, like they will ensure that tourism sector is safe in Turkey, and additionally, not only the tourism sector, the Turkish healthcare sector as a whole, as a system, has proven that it's one of the good ones or one of the best ones over in Europe
Yes.
in terms of the pneumonia rates of the patients and case fatality rates. Case
Yes.
fatality rates of Turkey is one of the lowest ones globally, showing the effectiveness of the Turkish healthcare system. So it's the whole thing. I mean, it's not just one thing that you're looking at a hotel. No, it's a chain transportation, and it's diverse industry in Turkey. It's not just air transportation.
Okay.
Some of travelers, I
Okay,
think 20,
Ibrahim.
25% will coming from ground as well. It's also safe.
So, Virginia, would you agree that the measures Ibrahim just mentioned are enough to lure back tourists to Turkey? And I think a representative from your organization has recently met with President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Could you elaborate on that meeting? What was discussed and what are the prospects for Turkish tourism?
What we have seen in Turkey is very strong public and private collaboration, which is certainly something that is going to help us get out of this crisis. And as you mentioned, I mean, we represent about 200 companies around the world, and some of these companies were actually recently in a meeting with the president. I'm talking about the challenges that our sector is facing. As I was sharing some of the numbers, and they're similar for Turkey. So our sector is really, really important to the Turkish economy, but unfortunately was also hardly hit, more than a 54% drop in GDP. So we are seeing some very positive steps. We're seeing that collaboration. We know there's a clear roadmap for the reopening of our sector. We know that as of the 1st of July, Turkey will start welcoming international tourists, that all of the right health and safety protocols are in place, and that they're starting to begin conversations with some neighbor countries to begin that mobility. So we're certainly like in the right path. I think financially our sector is struggling. We hope to see more support and also more investment in the country for our sector.
So, Ibrahim, how has some countries, as namely the UK and Russia lately, strict COVID measures or flight bans placed on Turkey impacted the tourism sector, not only for Turkey, but also for the UK and Russia?
Ayşe, in today's world, international politics and economics are intermingled. It's very difficult to render which actions are politically motivated, which are economically motivated. But as a general idea, we can say that countries calculate the billions of dollars at the end of the day for their policy moves. Having said that, if we have time, I'd like to provide some information before coming to UK's and Russia's policy changes. Turkey has been a major player, as Virginia pointed out, like 50 million visitors in 2009 put Turkey in the 6th place globally. Russia is a key partner for Turkey for tourism industry with 7 million visitors in 2019. Turkey is the best option for the Russian travelers for proximity, cultural relevance, budget. And what we know is that Russian folks love to traveling to Turkey, and Turkish tourism industry love to host the Russian folks. And the recent ties with Turkey and Russia also strengthens this. But Russia banned the flights in mid-April. This definitely was a blow to Turkish industry. But
Yes.
it is very difficult to assess if this was a politically motivated move, because Turkey had to be honest with you, had a surge in April for COVID-19 cases. But what matters now is that after Turkey have put those measures in
Yes.
place, like great measures, from financial to medical, then if if Russia doesn't change its move now, like doesn't lift the ban, then probably we can argue that Russia is trying to harm the global tourism industry and as well as the
Okay.
Turkish tourism
Okay.
industry.
So, Virginia, would you agree, as the world still continues to battle the pandemic, do you think some countries use it as a political leverage against another?
I think what is very clear to governments is that our sector creates jobs and therefore they need travel and tourism in order to reactivate their economy. There will never be a full recovery unless we reopen international travel. And that's why all of these conversations are happening. And that's why for many months we've been really pushing for international collaboration, not only amongst governments, but also with the private sector. So only through that, as I said, we'll be able to recover all of the jobs that have been lost and also reactivate the global economy.
So, Virginia, last tourism season ended with lots of unknowns. Could you talk to us about the mindset of tourists? For example, are they more cautious or more conscious this time?
So there's a couple of things. The reality is people want to travel. The pent-up demand is there and the sentiment is there. There's many surveys that have been conducted that can tell that people cannot wait to travel. Now, obviously, all those changing rules that we have experienced in particular markets don't help, and not only for travelers but also for businesses to be ready and to start preparing their and ramping up their operations. Now, in terms of what travelers' preferences are, there's certainly more of a consciousness for responsible travel, for like making sure that our travel impacts positively the communities, and also, of course, there's been a rise on digitalization that we will continue to see, whether it's technologies at airport across the traveler journey and also being used by consumers.
So, Ibrahim, what's the driving force behind the tourists' desire to travel?
Well, people got bored at home out of pandemic measures globally, right? You know, in Russia, in the UK, in Germany, in Turkey. Even for myself, I'd like to get out now, go on vacation and lay on the beach and get refreshed, relax, and get more productive. That's the idea. You know, there is no reason to ban. I mean, there is a demand for travel, right? It's not for nothing. It's for recreation, it's for refreshment, relaxation, and it's becoming more productive. When they go back to home, you know, in Russia, in Germany, in the UK, they're going to become more productive. I mean, that's the desire, that's the motive behind going on vacation. I mean, you know,
Yes.
I think that's the plus. It's a mutual game for countries. I mean, when you ban trade or travel, I think you both lose. You know, it's not just the target country. I think even the imposing country loses. You know, I don't think how we can calculate the benefits of getting refreshed, but it's out there. There are many studies over this. That's the motive behind traveling.
So it seems like despite all dangers, the world didn't really like the so-called new normal. Unfortunately, we'll have to wrap it up here. Virginia, Ibrahim, thank you very much for joining us on Straight Talk.